Okay, consistent with the way that we organize our affairs at Attiner, we like to start on time for the benefits of those that they are here. Those that they will come late, they're gonna miss something. The most important, my introduction. I'll be very laconic, even though I'm from Athens. And what I'll do, I'll give you an example how we moderate discussions here, so the chairs do not talk. I'm gonna sit there, and since I'm not talking, but I can act, when there are 9 minutes, 1 minute left, I'm gonna stand up. So the speaker knows that she or he has only 1 minute left. So it's a very heuristic way not to interrupt him or her and say that you have 1 minute. And if she doesn't respond, I have the stick. As I mentioned in my opening remark, it's a very new stick. You can shout and you can use to hit the speaker. I think he or she will get the message. And to avoid all the unnecessary details, titles, and all this, because you have it, I'll say I'd like to invite, it's a great honor actually, to invite the first speaker. She's the Dean, Vivian Insera, and I think her most important affiliation is that she's just recently elected.
Well, no, actually former.
Former
I
elected.
already finished my term.
Okay, so you have, lady, 10 minutes to impress the world. Okay.
I don't know about that, but the thing is that I notice a lot of people when they do present, sometimes I am like that. The person sharing the sentence and they don't see it because they are concentrated in what they are saying. But I will try to do better.
Okay, so you have 9 minutes before you see me standing up.
Sure. It doesn't count, right? Because they don't think.
It's a basketball time.
Let me see if this works. Oh, yes, it does. Okay, so thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, because
Okay, so thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here and discussing these things. I added the American to the title because I understand and I am more familiar with the American challenges in higher education. I guess some of the challenges are common not only to America, but other places in the world. And but if you say no, it doesn't apply to us, it's because I am talking mostly of American challenges and opportunities. So this is a list, it's not complete. Some topics are are bigger in terms of challenges than others, but I just want to go quickly over them. So we are observing a big enrollment decline, not in the Ivy Leagues universities, of course, but the Ivy Leagues are not the representation of the entire higher ed. Public institutions are suffering from enrollment decline in America, and part of it is the demographic. So the number of students who could go to college is decreasing just because of the demographic. But also, that's not the only reason. There are other reasons that are influencing that. And one of them is a decline, significant, I would say, decline in state and federal support for education and research. Still, we have some support, but not enough. And during COVID and after COVID, many institutions actually disappeared because of this. They couldn't afford to keep running. So you see a lot of merging and things like that. People are trying to find solutions. Bottom line is that without money, it's hard to do quality education. And also there is an increased cost in higher education. Yesterday, at midnight, when we arrived, the taxi driver was complaining that here the education is for free, and he said it has a downside because many students take it for granted and they don't really put the effort they should. And I was thinking, well, so there's no perfect system, right? In our case, I think the cost of higher education is becoming bigger and bigger, and part of it is because less support by the states and the federal government, and it's hard for the students. In our case, we serve a population of underserved students in the Rio Grande Valley, and without support, and we don't charge a lot. Our institution is very careful on that, but still, many of them cannot afford education unless they have some help, some form of help. So this is a big issue we need to face and find solutions. There is an increased disconnect, and I am curious about this, if it happened in other places in the world, between the general public and higher education. There is a big societal skepticism of the value of education. And I come from a place where education was like, you have to. And it used to be like that in America. Unfortunately, not anymore. The public doesn't see the value in intellectual activities, in education, in art, in science. There's not much respect for science. There's not much understanding between the difference between truth, facts, proof, and opinions. And I think we are in part responsible because we are in charge of educating the population. So it's a challenge that we need to figure out how to handle, because it's becoming very prominent, unfortunately. Our politicians are doing everything they can, not all, but some of them, to create difficulties for the higher ed system to exist. There is some challenge to tenure, faculty status, and things like that. On top of that, we had the COVID, which is, I wouldn't think, I hope it's not going to be a 21st century forever challenge, but it's a challenge we have now. And the post-COVID fatigue from students and faculty alike. The students, I mean, if you are teaching, you know that the students had lack of, the opportunities to learn were limited during the COVID because faculty had to change very quickly in a couple of weeks from regular teaching to remote teaching, and the students didn't have, in many cases, the maturity to stay connected and stay focused on the class and things like that. And after they return, the students sort of, there is many students do not want to go back to classes in the normal way, but at the same time, they are not so engaged in classes when they are, or some classes are still remote. And so we are living a very weird period of time where there is this fatigue from COVID that is still remain, and faculty don't want to go back to the classroom. Not all, some people do, but not all. And I think all this is, we need to understand, and we need to face this challenge and figure out how to come out of that in a way that is doable, but also that will be better for both faculty and students. And then, of course, the technology revolutions. AI is in everybody's mind nowadays. It's a big challenge. People say, oh, students are cheating because of AI, but AI is not going to disappear for sure. So we need to think how to survive, how to do better, how to actually use AI to our advantage in education. Remote teaching tools. I want to share with you that in our colleges, just before the COVID, for different reasons, because we had a distributed institution, we wanted to make sure the students from different campuses have the same quality of education. We introduced an initiative that we call Digital 21, where we gave the students iPads and we gave the faculty iPads. So when they taught a class, they could use the iPad to get as close as possible to hands-on teaching using this tool. Some faculty became really expert on that. And so it's a way to use a tool that is a high-tech tool that some people were against it to improve the way we teach. That initiative really saved a lot of courses in our institution, in our college, because COVID came and everybody had to change to remote, even those who were opposed to remote. So, and this is not going to change. We're going to have to deal with more and more new technology challenges. And finally, I want to mention as a challenge the contradiction or the tension between, so I have 1 minute. Okay, the tension between the traditional way to of our disciplines and the actual challenge of the 21st century in terms of what are the expectations of the interdisciplinarity. I'm not going to read this because I have opinions about each of them, but I actually think that because this is a debate and discussion session, I would like this to be thoughts for that debate and discussion for the rest of the people here. Okay, so
Thank you very much. Thank you for keeping the time. I have something to share at the end, not now because I don't want to waste time. Our next speaker is, it's a great honor for us actually, because as I said in my opening remarks, we don't have Greeks from Greece, we have Greeks from abroad. The reason is that it's true international, the conference. Only in the roundtables we make an exception. Previously, about 5-6 years ago, before COVID, we were honored to have the dean, or the rector, I should say, of the National Technical University of Athens, the late Professor Xanthopoulos. Now we continue this tradition, or the rector of the Athens University of Business and Economics, we continue this tradition, and it's a great honor for Athens and for all of us, the community, the academic community, that Professor Saboutzakis Evangelos accepted our invitation to speak about Greek, or whatever he wants. It's open the subjects, Greek or non-Greek, and I call him to impress the world for 10 minutes. Since I don't know if you came early enough, when there is 1 minute left, I'm going to stand up. So that's why the lady said only 1 minute. And I give you the time between the physics, tell me that when you are high, the time runs faster than when you are low. So it's a Planck number, and I gave you that, okay?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The object of my presentation is hybrid learning, an integrative approach merging theoretical background and market-driven orientation. The contents of my presentation: an introduction and history, the university modes, questions of our study, possible answers and conclusions. Western scientific and industrial domination in recent centuries was based on the two pillars of tertiary education, the post-secondary professional schools and the new knowledge and leadership symbols, the universities. This study focuses on the educational content and the pedagogical methods. Three major challenges have been identified as being crucial for the development of future engineering education, that are sustainability, digitalization, employability, and all these three together named as market-driven orientation. Three university modes are associated with tensions in the development of engineering education. The academic mode, its emphasis on theoretical knowledge, the market-driven mode with its focus on employability, and the community-driven mode with its focus on civic society and sustainability. These three modes are found in existing engineering institutions and are needed to develop a future curriculum. However, the academic and the market-driven modes are the most dominant today, and currently tension exists between them. With the development of artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things, it is important to develop the academic mode with new subdisciplines and interdisciplinary programs to create a new hybrid academic mode. It is important for engineering students to acquire and learn to apply theoretical knowledge to realistic problems. Authentic problems also help students understand the range of industrial and societal practices they will encounter. The issue of employability has shifted the focus from the academic mode to more market-oriented mode. The industry requires engineers who have acquired employability competencies, such as project management and the ability to learn and adapt quickly. These future requirements for employability, including innovativeness and entrepreneurialism, constitute relevant areas of development in engineering education. Finally, sustainability is a major issue in engineering education. It addresses the need to find solutions to climate change, North-South relationship, and the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. All these lead to new types of universities, such as ecological universities with embedded social and civic values. In the development of a three-mode education program based on an integrated hybrid learning approach, the curriculum must integrate or combine the various challenges with already existing development trends, such as student-centered learning, contextual and practice experiences, and digital tools. Student-centered learning methods encompass learning approaches in which students regulate their own learning processes. These methods include active learning, collaborative learning, team-based learning, design-based learning, inquiry-based learning, challenge-based learning, problem and project-based learning.
We can see that on the index.
Yeah, we can.
Please take away this
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
It's okay. So, the questions for our study. How do we think the aforementioned challenges will affect the development of any discipline and the involved educational program? What do we expect the situation to be 10 years from now? How do we prepare our students for the future using today's educational resources? How will students learn engineering in the future? And finally, are there other challenges ahead that we have not mentioned? Two more general categories can be identified with 2 dimensions of variation and one category with only 1 dimension concerning our possible answers. The first 2 categories concern the importance of change and the role of future engineering institutions, while the third one, the digitalization. According to category 1, the importance of change, we can find 2 possible answers. Reluctance towards change, that is, ongoing trends might have a negative impact on the competence of future engineers. The risk of lacking competence in the future is quite possible, since everyone is trying to be very generalist and broad. And this comes in some way in contradiction to being in depth. And another possible answer, the need for change in engineering education is vital. Engineers need to have basic knowledge, but also have to acquire better competence in order to contribute in future technological development. Education needs to be adapted to the 4th industrial revolution, as knowledge is highly valued. Concerning category 2, that is the role of future engineering institutions, 2 possible answers again. The role may be more of quality control to avoid faked facts. Engineers need to have basic knowledge, but also have to acquire better competence. In the more science-dominated engineering disciplines, knowledge is highly valued. But for disciplines that are closer to production, significant changes due to digitalization and the 4th industrial revolution are anticipated. One more category for possible answers could be universities would adapt to societal change as to large extent as possible. That is, engineering programs and the need for graduation might disappear. Instead, students will bring a file with them that provides information about the courses they have taken, and the file will be updated throughout their professional life. The third category, in knowledge engineering disciplines, it seems that a significant need for more digitalization and programming in the educational curriculum is needed. So, our main conclusions. The new mode that must be taken into account in the development of engineering education is the employability, market-driven mode. The link with stakeholders is expected to grow, even though the risk of graduates not having the detailed knowledge they will need to succeed in their future career is quite high. And finally, the priority of future academic quality and the need for market-driven education need to be emphasized when developing engineering education programs. Thank you very much for your attention.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Again, we're doing very well. We're according to our time schedule. Now, since we overbooked the program, it's obvious, our third speaker is not here yet. So the fourth one, Gonzalo Dominguez Alvarez, okay? I invite him to speak in a relative topic, actually, financial support in education. You cannot avoid talking about economics. I'm an economist, that's what I'm saying. You are forced in one way or another. Sorry, Professor, I'm sorry about this, but we didn't do that on purpose. You know, it was just happen.
Yeah.
That's why in my instruction, I say, be prepared to present without this. You have to use the microphone and the camera because people are watching you.
Thank you for your presence. I would like to share with you some general comments about financial support in higher education. For the first tip, let's talk about the gross domestic product by countries, because when you see what's the financial support destined to the higher education, you understand what is the situation in fact. As you see here, maybe you can see in blue is the public financial support, and in dark is the private financial support. Some example, it's not very clear, but in the top of the graph, you have the highest values of private financial support is from typical countries like United States, for example, Japan, Australia. In the lower value of private financial support are India, Pakistan, African countries, Latin American countries, and so on. Then this is a first approach in order to understand what is the situation of support in financial matter. Here we have the lowest values of financial support here. India, which is all is public support. And on the other side, you have United States, which is more than half of the financial support in higher education is destined from the private sector. Now, this is the key factor. By the way, it's not in this graph coming from the World Bank, it's not included China. It's interesting to remark this question. Now, we can see the problem from another approach. For example, primary, secondary, and tertiary education, and the tertiary education in orange. As you see here, all the sectors, the countries like Chile, for example, have a high value of compounds in private sector, including the tertiary sector. But if you see what is the behavior in order to analyze the countries in the world in only for primary and secondary education, the private sector is very low. Maybe some countries like, once again, Chile and Colombia, and this one is Japan. Greece is very low, the value of private sector financing the primary and secondary sector in education. And on the other side, you have tertiary sector, which is the object of interest now. The private sector, the public sector, and the private sector, once again, as you see here, United States, a huge value for private sector, Japan, Australia, United Kingdom, and from the lowest values of sectors, Mexico is very low. Latin America, generally speaking, is very low. The private sector supporting the financial support for higher education. Now, obviously, the graph shows that for the lower value of gross domestic products increase when you increase the number of years of education. This is obviously. And then, for example, in the top, you have United States. Even the professor is regretting the United States situation. Yeah. United States is in the top, even from China and so on. Obviously, African countries is in the lower values, and Latin American is in the lower values. Then, in conclusion, participation of private sector in financial support for education is a particular key in order to enforce this tertiary education in the world. And we can talk about the methodologies, etc. But finally, the financial support is the key factor in order to boost in particular, the private sector. As you see here, once again, Japan, United States, Australia, and so on. All of these countries are more of half of private sector, private support in the third sector, in the third sector. And then maybe some comments about the professor coming from the United States with the problem you have with the President Biden and so-called, it's not clear here, but the problem for scholarship you have today concerning the new laws and new support in order to reduce the debt of a student in the higher education in the United States. Maybe some comments?
No, you're not.
No.
You're taking my job now. Have you finished? Have you finished?
I finished my presentation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, have you finished? I asked if you have finished your presentation.
You finished my presentation?
Ah, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. I mean, we're not done. Our next speaker is, he's involved with Atiner, so he will be remembered to the eternity as our director of the engineering division, Professor Bala Maheswaran. He will talk about sustainability in engineering education. I thought you didn't have PowerPoints. You have.
Good afternoon, everybody, especially the in-person crowd. Of course, we are virtual people. I have to say good morning, good evening, all kinds of things. My title is Sustainability in Engineering Education. My name is Bala Maheswaran. I am from Northeastern University. Where is Northeastern University? It's in Boston. It's a modern, fancy, very, very high-end university. It's a good university, put it that way. It's a massive student population. I don't want to spend a lot of time because limited time is only 9 minutes. So our student population is close to 30,000, maybe more with other factors. Also, the tuition also very high there. We have massive, we invite great people for commencement and other activities. You can see with the pictures. And we have big conference, the commencement at Boston Garden. Now we move to Red Sox, whatever the Fenway Park. All right, let me get into my talk. What is sustainability? I just want to give, it's a very simple definition, online definition, or just you can get this information from anywhere. Sustainability consists of fulfilling the need of current generation without compromising the need of future generation, while ensuring balance between economic growth, environmental care, and social well-being. That is the key of sustainability. So what can we contribute? This is more a social issue. What can engineers contribute? That's my part. And of course, one of the speakers mentioned about UN goals. They established 17 goals there. If time permits, I will go back and read some of those key goals there. But those are listed in nice form here, but I need time to cover some key issues first. Now, why sustainability in engineering education? In recent years, we are facing a multitude of challenges, from climate change to resources depletion. There is an urgent need for sustainable education or solution. Engineers have the pivotal role in addressing these challenges. Engineers have the technical knowledge and problem-solving skill to create sustainable future. To make a difference, we must integrate sustainability curriculums, principles in engineering education. That is the real reason behind whatever I am talking here. Now, why is sustainability in engineering education so crucial? It is about preparing the next generation of engineers to be leaders in sustainable practices. By educating students with the knowledge and skill to address environmental, social, and economical challenges, we empower them to create positive impact on the world. Integrating sustainability into engineering curriculum allows us to foster awareness and understanding of sustainable practices from the beginning. That is the important part. We can no longer afford to teach engineers in isolation. That's what currently we normally do, just lab work and experiment and calculation and results. It should be from environmental and societal point of view. We need to approach that. By incorporating sustainability focused courses and modules, we can ensure that every engineer has the solid foundation is in sustainable principles. So the approach, sustainability in engineering education goes beyond theoretical knowledge, because our students, they have very good theoretical knowledge. It must include project-based experiential learning and hands-on projects. It allows students to apply their knowledge in real-world context, engage with communities, and develop innovative solutions. By working on sustainability-related projects, students develop skills needed to address them effectively. That is the key part of this one. And of course, it should be a collaboration. It's not an individual approach, not academia. It should be kind of a collaboration between academia, industry, and politicians or policymakers and the society, right? These are some key issues. And of course, it's good. We need the industrial collaboration in order to get the experiential learning. So that will help them to use that one in the theoretical side. So these are some key issues we need to do. Also, we need to give the leadership skill for our students. Student engagement and leadership is also vital, component of sustainability engineering education. When students take initiative to form sustainability-focused clubs, organization, and competition, they create vibrant, dynamic learning environment. Students became change agents, so we can say steward of professions. advocating for sustainability practices and inspiring their peers to take action. Their enthusiasm and dedication have the potential to create a lasting impact within the educational institution and beyond. So these are some key issues that we need to focus, preparing engineering students for the future. We must prepare future engineers to appreciate in Okay, we must prepare future engineers to appreciate, include, better understand the perspective and need of people. That is very important because we want people's-based design and developments, and our empathy enable human-centered design, understanding stakeholders' need, and co-designing with community by taking steps to position people at the center of innovation. We build an inclusive environment and better future engineers. The future engineers must be prepared to lead their immediate engineering community across the discipline and their greater communities. What step do we need to make this happen? So that is the part we need from you, from this roundtable. So here's the roundtable question during the discussion time. How can we prepare them to take an impact seat at the decision-making table and make a positive contribution? In other words, what values do these engineers need to have, and what knowledge and awareness do these individuals need to gain in order to effectively combine their technical expertise with the social, political, environmental, and economical needs of our community and beyond? What abilities and experiences can these engineering education provide to empower students to leverage their education to the betterment of all? Finally, or not finally, the other part is, what are we doing to ensure that the students graduate as steward of professions or change agents for these type of things? In conclusion, sustainability in engineering education, not an option. It is a necessity. We owe it to future generation to prepare engineers who are equipped with knowledge, skill, and mindset to create sustainable solution for better tomorrow by integrating sustainability principles into our curriculum, fostering project-based experiential learning, engaging with industry, empowering students, and assessing our progress. We can truly make a difference. Let us embrace the challenge and grab this opportunity to transform engineering education. Together, we can build a sustainable future that is engineering for one planet. Looks like I still have 1 minute there. So I want to say a few words. I am one of the signatory for this engineering for one planet. That is actually coming up with some ideas how to integrate this key issues in curriculums. So this is what my statement for them. So rather going there, these are the 9 up goals or 9 parts. One is the leadership skill. The other one is technical skill. Other one is the knowledge, right? How to integrate and where to integrate. You want to do it in the freshman, second year, third year, or you want to spread it gradually in order to prepare our students as a leaders. Now, I have a question for you, right? Before I conclude this one, can you make a guess? Just to show you how capable we are, right? What is the cost of a terabyte in 1964, right? It's about $2.03 billion. Now it's $27. What does that mean? We can do wonders. If you can bring that one from there to here, we can do all kinds of issues here. That's my.
Thank you very much, Bala. Thank you. Our next speaker. You run like a politician. I think you're going to run for president of the United States. That's how I interpret your intervention. Okay. Our next speaker is Professor Duncan Carlsmith, another one from the United States. 10 minutes.
Okay. This to go next, back, and the pointer. This go next.
The problem that we have is has to do with the connection because we don't have problem at the okay, now we cannot solve the problem.
Glad to be here. A little nervous following my esteemed colleagues here and leaders of American Physical Society. I'm Duncan Carlsmith, University of Wisconsin-Madison. If you know where Chicago is, go north a little bit. That's Wisconsin. My background is in physics research, and asked to comment on the future of all of STEM education is a little beyond my scope. So what I thought I'd offer is just maybe a little bit of inspiration about where physics, the fundamental science behind much of engineering and STEM altogether, is going, and the challenges facing future researchers that we're trying to train. Coming from an R1 research institution, that's sort of the focus, although I know there's so many more goals. And just to highlight for people who are unfamiliar, some longstanding organizations dedicated to designing the future of education. You know, what's going on in physics is amazing, right? We're learning about the universe. This mission is about studying dark matter and dark energy, which are some of the big mysteries out there. And we're just going to learn, and this is the public data. This will be available shortly, in months. We've just observed black holes. I mean, like, these are images. This used to be fantasy. It's amazing. And we have the technology to simulate things like black hole collision. This one down at the bottom is in the center of the Milky Way, our own galaxy. We can now see that. Only recent, this is very recent. We'd only seen it indirectly through orbits of stars around the black hole. And we're seeing gravitational waves from pint-sized black holes. And just like last week, with a big contribution from UW Milwaukee, mega black holes from galactic collisions. And if there's a big bright future here, we're going to have interferometers that are at the scale of the solar system. And the mega black hole things are using pulsars that are at the scale of a galaxy as instruments. So it's brilliant. Future is brilliant. We're in the middle of discovering exoplanetary systems, understanding their atmospheres and their history and the development of solar systems like our own. And it's fascinating. Not just seeing transits, but now we can see the spectrum of atmospheres and look for signatures of life. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm kind of starting large scale, going down, right? Quantum computers are running. This is crazy, right? This is crazy stuff that's going on. We're also seeing, we just got an X-ray, neutrino equivalent X-ray image of the Milky Way galaxy. This is a project from UW-Madison called IceCube. And, you know, switching directions, we're trying to understand the origin of mass. We discovered the Higgs boson at the CERN collider some years ago, and now we've shown that it just fits the standard model. It's what it is, right? But are there more of these? There's a deep mystery, and you know, if we had control of this, I could go on and on about what we could do if we could control the masses of the elementary particles. So this is all going on in the future, and I can't, you know, begin to touch what's going on in biophysics, quantum optics, new fusion is actually becoming practical, and there are a lot of startups in fusion right now. Metamaterials, superconductivity, and correlated systems that will impact the consumer sector, so on. So that's kind of, a picture of the future of what we need to train students to do in terms of fundamental physics research. So I want to just mention a few societies, starting with American Physical Society. If you're not familiar, there's so much information. The APS is very much involved in education in the United States. And you can find all kinds of interesting things, and encourage you to come to the United States and attend meetings. I'm very much, I'm an APS member, but I'm very much involved in the American Association of Physics Teachers. And in particular, I'm on a committee for international education, which brought me here to try to connect with your organization. And AAPT offers 2 meetings I encourage you to attend if you're interested in the details of physics, in particular education. There's a whole new field called physics education research, which is, buried in the intricacies of understanding statistically what students are learning and how. And the American Institute of Physics, supplies all kinds of data about graduation rates and what kind of jobs people are doing. I've talked about research, and this is not at all to belittle, the role of physics education in educating students for engineering and in biology and computers and, lots of things. What are the principles? And we're learning more and more, and that's changing things, as you see, with quantum computers. So the AIPT is out there. If you're not aware of GREP here in the EU, I wanted you to be aware of this. This organization is like American Association of Physics Teachers, dedicated to studying and contemplating where physics education is going in the future. And they're especially focused on educating students in quantum mechanics much earlier than has ever been done. This organization has biannual meetings all around in the EU, and then in between in the Southeast Asia. So, just what's going on with bachelor's degrees. There were some sort of grim statistics, but in fact, on education in general in the United States, but the yield of bachelor's has kind of rebounded and is going up. As you can see, this is a plot from AAPT. We're ending it around just before the pandemic. So as far as, best practices, I wanted you to alert you to this document, which is prepared by various committees of both AAPT, American Association of Physics Teachers, and American Physical Society. It's called EP3, Effective Practices for Physics Programs. And for the engineers, it's sort of an interesting convergence, I think, on at least what these organizations feel, are really need to be done, issues that needed to be addressed. They're very much the same as what ABET, which is the standard for engineering education, has come up with. And these include not just technical competencies, but many soft skills, being able to collaborate, for example. And these are, interestingly, also many of the educational goals of a liberal arts education, a small college in the United States. So I can't touch this right in 10 minutes, but to look at the breadth of things, from computational skills, dealing with, people at the introductory level who are not going to become physics researchers, degree tracks, equity, diversity, inclusion, now kind of deprecated recently in the United States, and so on. So there's the recommendations here. You can click and look at what committees have come up with for suggestions and what to do in all of these areas. So how do we keep up with all this and prepare people for the future? Just kind of my personal take on this. Times change, and teaching should too, right? Enough said. Exploit information technology, exploit AI. GPT-4 is fantastic. Immerse students in computation and research early so they can participate and feel like they're part of a community. And foster collaboration. Physics is an international organization. And just a little pitch. If you want to be a Badger and come to Wisconsin, I have a new visiting international scholars program for undergraduates. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just obviously, I want to talk to you because I approached the Greek Society of Physics, but I don't want to say it by microphone. I'll let you know, and maybe we can meet as well, because it's divided. They are very. When you are divided, we say you are very democratic, because democracy leads to division sometimes. Our next speaker is saying that don't leave without seeing me, okay? Because I want to talk to you about what you mentioned. Masoud Gazelbash is our next speaker from Canada. 50% of the American professors, they were born outside the United States. Maybe this can lead with the Mexican professor that he said about the United States. So there are a lot of Greeks, they're second to Jewish, that they are doing in good and bad universities, middle class universities. So maybe that explains the American miracle in education. It's not internally produced. Anyway, I made a comment. I should not do that.
Okay, so first of all, I want to thank the organizers for inviting me to be a part of.
PowerPoint, eh? Thank God, because we had problems. Okay. Okay, good. Continue. Sorry.
Okay, to be a part of this roundtable discussion. With all negative news about the science and education in Canada, United States, around the globe, cutting the funding, low enrollment, declining enrollment, I'm here to share with you some positive news that we initiated in my home university, University of Saskatchewan, in the middle of Canada, with an enrollment of around 24,000 students in a province of around 1 million people. So it's a big number for enrollment. And in the Department of Physics and Engineering Physics. In undergrad education in physics program, there are three main subjects: quantum mechanics, classical mechanics, and electromagnetic theory. And all these theories are back many, many centuries ago. Quantum mechanics invented around 1930, around 100 years ago. Classical mechanics invented around 1700, 300 years ago, and electromagnetic theory around 1900, again, more than 100 years ago. So in the Department of Physics, the faculty felt that we need to upgrade the knowledge of students in education, and by including some new topics from the most recent discoveries in physics. As the previous speaker talked about those interesting subjects, most of these undergraduate students don't know anything about this and even haven't heard about that. So from about some of these new discoveries, dark matter and dark energy, the gravitational waves, Big Bang and evolution of the universe, and possible detection of superparticles, which are very, very fundamental in understanding the physics beyond the standard model. So there is a very thin and very slim possibility of that in next year or so, or to be more conservative, next 10 years maybe, so these superparticles could be detected. And it's a huge, huge revolution in physics if it's detected. They completely change our observation about the universe and how the physics works. The other, so to achieve this goal, and also we noticed that most of these undergraduate students after graduation going to higher schools. And I believe everybody knows the level of higher school education in North America. So we did a huge amount of negotiation with the from the College of Arts and Science, with the College of Education, and the College of Engineering, of course, and we asked them to implement and enforce the students to get some first-year courses in physics. It wasn't mandatory, for example, for engineering physics to get physics courses, but now it's mandatory. The enrollment suddenly changed in physics with a huge number. And also we created new courses, new fun courses. One course that we call it Astronomy and the Universe. And the students are coming from the high school in the first year, and they get idea about dark matter and dark energy in the first year. Of course, it's not quantitative. Nobody expected that. It's very qualitative, but at least they know what is going on now. And we believe at least maybe 1%, 2% of these people want to go to higher education. And we need them to be our colleagues maybe in next 5 years or 10 years. So they must have a good knowledge of the frontiers of physics, especially in first year or second year and third year. And this, in the same way, we upgraded our third year and fourth year physics courses with including quantitative materials about these subjects, not all of them. For example, in quantum mechanics, now we include some new topics about quantum mechanics that matters here. For example, quantum mechanics in computer science and how this quantum computer, what is the idea of quantum computer, for example. So yeah, we did this and we created new courses. Now I can say that the Astronomy and the Universe course is a very, very popular course in our department. The enrollment is 600 plus compared to, it's a huge class and even 2 sessions. So around 1,200 people are taking this course as fair and in the first year and second year of their education. And this is an amazing achievement for our department. Just as a model, I wanted to say that this model can be extended for the other departments in science, for example, in biology or the other areas. Definitely the very fun courses could be created for the students, and by negotiation with the other colleges, the students could be attracted. So all these negative news about, yeah, of course, we are continuously losing our students for many reasons. Some of them really cannot afford to pay the tuition. The tuitions are going up every day and they cannot afford it. But at least those ones that can afford it and can come to the university, now they graduate with more knowledge, and this is a very, very good thing. The other thing that really is important, when I compare my education, I didn't do my education in North America or the Europe. I had 160 credit units when I graduated from the undergraduate studies, right? Just after 4 years, not 5 years. And now when I compare with the students that are graduating right now, it's around 110, at most 120, it's something like 33% drop. It's a disaster, really. It's really a disaster. I saw that, for example, when I was an undergraduate student, we had 3 courses on quantum mechanics. If I compare it with now, right now it's almost 1.5. Okay, so the level and the volume of the courses are decreased by a factor of 50% during last, I can say 40 years, 35, 40 years. So it's good just to, and this is my positive experience, and just I wanted to share with you that always the good things also can happen despite all the negative news that we have. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Since we don't have the Marine Michelian from Armenia, we got a message that says that the plane was delayed. Okay, now our last speaker for this invited speaker section is Adrian Ionescu, and he's gonna give us The college approach or general, whatever you want. Okay. Good.
I don't know if you put that note there in the center.
You told me that you don't have PowerPoint.
I don't have PowerPoint. I do not have PowerPoint.
Ah,
I just have some notes on my phone. And I decided to send them to Costas and put them like a little PDF, I guess, right?
Hmm.
No, I don't have power. I don't have power.
you don't need power.
I don't, I think even my present that's later turned into PDF slide and stuff like that. So it's gonna be pretty much, I don't know if we can make it a little bit bigger. I don't know if we it's probably not likely. Yeah, I should have made it. I don't know if we can zoom in or something. Control plus. Yeah, that's the one to do it. Control plus is the best. And I'll scroll down. Yeah, that's
So you collaborate well with Costa because he's an ICT as well, so.
yeah. He's a computer scientist, unlike me.
Yeah.
I'm nothing. He's the teacher. What that's interesting. So let's see where.
Use the microphone for the.
Oh, yeah, I got it. So the talk is going to be, I mean, it's not about my career, it's what I observed during my career. So first of all, you can see I'm not 30 years old, so I'm about double that age. I started with no web. So I don't know many people here. I don't know if you remember the old times when all you saw was a C prompt in front of the computer and you better knew what you're doing, because that's all we had. Now, at that time, when I started, we learned about core dumps. We looked at executable files. I'm talking about computer science people. The machine language, obviously. We talked about assembly. We ended up learning a little bit about intermediate languages. And then we tried to teach students basically about programming languages. And ultimately, we ended up, the last courses that we had in the curriculum were grammars and compilers. Now, what has happened? First of all, some of these things have completely disappeared. So students are not interested anymore in core dumps. I think if I tell them they don't know what I'm talking about, you're not going to look at binary files anymore. All they have learned lately are basically the high-level languages, as I call them, HLL, whereas the low-level programming is probably disappearing. Now, why did that happen? I'll explain it immediately. Now, things that happened in the past, and they're still happening, are basically courses in networking. We used to have, and we still have, hardware, software type of networking, still around, still popular. Relational databases or the concept of relational databases still around. Oracle still use it. A lot of companies write everything that is behind. So the web now. So what happens is the web came in. So what the web did, it hid all these things. Most of us, we don't see the relational databases. We don't see those things. All we see is a form. We enter a few pieces of information there. And at the end, they're going to sell us something, hopefully, or whatever they want to do. But that's how relational databases are actually coming into the picture, but they're behind the screen. We don't see these things anymore. In the past, we used to see everything on the screen. When you had the C prompt, there was nothing behind. You basically saw you're looking at the computer directly. Now we don't look at computers directly. We're looking at web pages and people trying to tell us something or making us do some things, whatever they think. So the reality is, in a sense, changing, is disappearing. What I noticed, most students don't even understand what's behind. They don't understand the model of computing. So now, so what happened? So what happened is the internet evolved. So probably, I would say, early 80s or something, the web has kind of started conquering the world. And in the 90s probably was around and all of us saw it. So what happened when the internet evolved? First of all, obviously we've seen, and I put a few things in order there, data collection, right? Of course, that's one thing that's happening now. Data privacy became an issue, data security, and all data related things. Now, where is this coming from? All those forms that we fill in and we don't see what's going on behind, right? So we provide information to everybody and anybody can actually see a lot of stuff that maybe we shouldn't let people know. But how did that affect the curriculum? So now we're getting to the next part of, so let me try to lower these things a little bit. So what happened in the curriculum? Now, the curriculum of, and I'm sure it happens in all the countries, has adjusted basically to this thing. So what we see now, we see a lot of courses in, web, phone applications. I don't know if you're familiar with Eclipse, Visual Studio, that's Microsoft VS, other IDEs and program environments. I taught courses like that. I used Eclipse. I created little things for Android, right? The students are super excited and so forth. But again, what these programming environments hide a lot of things, hide a lot of high-level programming, how they are integrated. So students don't know exactly how these things are working. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. We'll see. We see a lot of AI, right? Robotics, things like that, new areas of computing. Now, security is another very interesting one. It's very popular. I've seen students trying to take those courses a lot. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the RSA, but that's behind all the encryption that happens, but requires more math. So now we're talking about data science. Oh, the old times we used to have relational databases and teaching about data mining, teaching a little bit about data analysis. But again, now we need more math and more advanced probability. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So the evolution, we look at things, we don't want to look at the basics, but the basics are hitting us back because a lot of this stuff require actually more and more advanced things. I don't know what to say. Is it better? So these are questions that we have to have a discussion. Is it better where we're moving? And it's affecting all the disciplines. I'm pretty sure about that. What is next? Maybe quantum computing or other things like that. Where are we going to go? So that's what I want to put in front of the audience. I'm definitely not even close to the 10 minutes, right? Yeah, I'm finished. I said 6 minutes. Did I say 6 minutes?
Yeah, that's what you told me. Thank you very much.
6 minutes. Thank you so much.
I'll tell you a story about this. Now we have the invited speakers. I think they are all in. So can we see them?
Now we'll connect them. We need 1 minute so they can connect.
Let me share a story with you. The director of the Athens University of Economics and Business, Professor Kiddis, told me a long time ago. He was representing Europe. He was the president of the rectors in Europe. So they went to China, the communist China, I guess. And there they spoke for one speaker for 2 hours, the other speaker for 3 hours. Anyway, at the end, there was someone that spoke only for 3 minutes, and then they had stand ovation. Everybody was clapping him. And then Professor Kiddis asked her, what was so important that everybody, clapping him? Said, he spoke only for 3 minutes. So that was the important thing.
You can start talking to them.
Yeah. Okay, our first discussion that he will impress the world in less than 5 minutes is Professor Glenn Bright, Dean from School of Engineering in South Africa. Glenn, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
That's the important thing. We can hear you. Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, you have the floor, Glenn.
Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah? Can you hear
Okay,
me?
I can speak. I can speak.
Yeah, you can speak. Yeah.
Okay. I can't see the audience, so it feels a bit difficult. But thank you for inviting me to be a panel member. I think what's amazing is the challenges that we have, even though we sit on different sides of the world. We are freezing down here in South Africa, and you're having a heat wave there. But the challenges that we have in education are so similar. Enrollment of students having the same problem. The blended learning approach. We've had a look at to try to blend our learning between online and contact learning. But once again, the students are not keen to come, and some staff members feel they can do a better job from their homes. So we're having the same challenges. I like the speaker on sustainability. I think sustainability is a big problem for engineers. In South Africa, we have something called rolling blackouts, where we don't have enough electricity capacity, and it's all due to poor planning and sustainability. So we need to do a lot of work there with our graduate engineers and our engineers. We're also a water scarce country, so we also have issues with providing water and sewage breakdown, wastewater, etc., which was touched on sustainability. I want to thank the speakers. I learned a lot from all of them. I was sitting in that room a few weeks ago at the conference, and I can't believe I'm so far away. But I want to also thank the organizers for including me and be able to contribute to the discussion. And I think I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Glenn. You are in Athiner spirit. 3 minutes enough. Our next, we have Saxena? No. Okay, we go to third discussion, Munir Mamsud. I think we have him. Can you hear me?
Yes, Greg, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. 5 minutes to impress the world?
5 minutes. If I make it in 4, what do I get? A trip to Athens?
Yeah, a trip to Athens. Yeah, that we paid.
Okay. Well, actually, I just thought it was very relevant that we're talking about climate change and things like this contemporary issues. And you have a very hot weather now, right? I mean, I was there last month and we met, and it was much more pleasant. Thank you for inviting me to this. I'm very happy to be here again because I did a presentation last month at the Civil Engineering Conference where I did my I had 2 hats there. I'm like a civil engineer by training, the professor of civil engineering at the American University of Beirut. So I do bridges, earthquakes, like anything else, but I also was always interested to get connected and our university to community-driven initiatives, such as what we have heard today from some of the speakers. And in this case, to be again fast than what I have written next to me from what I heard. I did give also last month, other than my bridges typical presentation, I was at the roundtable discussion on higher learning and the community, be engaged, be relevant. And this was basically where I feel our role could gear to, aside from the conventional and classical. So I was happy to hear some of those presentations, and I will just dwell on 2 or 3 of them, which to me were very much coherent with what I presented and I want to really discuss here today. First, Dr. Vivian discussed the issues of low enrollment, which we are all facing, and at some point there are many challenges. There are many constraints that we have been facing recently, including the idea of going online, then no interest in coming back or mid-interest. And then she discussed, Vivian, you talked about the challenges from being conventional to try to look at challenges that may gear back interest of the students and the faculty, actually, so that we can get back on feet in terms of attracting students to be still interested to do higher learning. And this is very important because by being relevant, it means also we can increase our employability. And then Dr. Sapountzakis, right? And Dr. Maheswaran, you mentioned both of you issues that are quite again, in the direction that I would love to discuss. First on, there was the issue of the modes of education, the academic and the market and the community-driven that were put as 3. While to me somehow, again, and I think you mentioned the hybrid mode, that you need to try to see how they can link so that they become all together as a package. So I would see that you started touching on the idea of that these are the theory and the practice that should address also societal needs and challenges. And you mentioned the climate change and the sustainable practices. And this is where I feel like we can have a role as academic institutions in the more, let's say, modern or maybe more civilized world, if I can say this, to become more connected to what we have around. Now, there is nothing really, I mean, this is really to complement rather than to replace a classical mode of theory and pure theory, which is very much needed. I mean, major advances come from there, but some of us might be also interested to gear our interest into things that address our immediate needs. And in some places in the world, this is much more needed than in others. We are in Lebanon in much need for doing this. And in our region, we are fortunate to have many problems around us every day, and they keep multiplying and changing. So when I say fortunate, of course, between quotes. So to try to close it here with what I like that this was linked also to what Dr. Maheswaran mentioned about how to put this into our own curricula, like to have a model where we can invite our faculty or our community inside the university to try to look up and look out to the what's happening outside. That could be in simple academic, simple activities like the typical outreach activities, volunteering, interventions where we're needed. But it is really where I felt the best part of it is to know that there are models where the community engagement now is being integrated with the academic learning through research practices, through courses, through projects. And that by itself will link and go back to what Dr. Sakis mentioned about the link to the employability here. So it's like if we try to go through this cycle, or just let me put it as a line now, where we can create venues for students and faculty and staff, all the community, to work on topics that are of relevance and then they can impact or contribute to societal needs and challenges. Climate change, sustainable practices, environment, refugees today, we have it, and you have it there in Greece. So all of these now have become core things in our society that we cannot ignore and just be hidden inside our walls. And therefore, in this case, we are also creating, in a sense and in a direction, not to try to disregard the other directions, a certain crop of graduates who can become more well-rounded in that sense. They understand society. When they go out in this less friendlier world, they would know how to deal with things. And of course, linking with all other majors. And I like the idea of the interdisciplinarity here. So if we're giving them a certain initiative in a course or in a project where they have to address a certain problem, that could help serve underserved society or the global society at large. I mean, global warming is not really only for the poor, because sometimes we try to link community with the poor. And this is, in a way, it is important to address this part of the society. But eventually, and if I finish here by saying that I see like there is we start from a theory and practice in our education, where we can contribute to society and the community to a modest extent. We are just academic institutes. We are not really the World Bank or anything that can have that big impact. And then we address more challenges that are to affect.
More than you exceeded the time. Just wrap it up, please.
Yes, I'm done. So then we become more relevant in our engagement, and therefore our profiles of ourselves as a faculty and of students will become more desirable, and this then leads to the better employability. So we're like getting a win-win-win-win situation in a sense, and we're still doing what we do as academicians or researchers or professionals. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for including all three speakers, at least in your discussion. Now, our fourth speaker is Nadhir Al Ansari. He's affiliated with a university in Sweden. And Nadhir, you have less than 5 minutes because Munir got most of your time.
Okay, thanks a lot, Gregory. In fact, I have two things which I want to raise. The first one, online courses. I don't think they are good enough in engineering practices, because there will be no communication between the lecturer and the students, which is very bad, in fact. Because if you give lectures, ordinary lectures, you can communicate with the students. They can ask you questions, you can answer. So it's some of our staff, they are still doing it online, which is, I think it's not that good. The other thing I was going to talk about, climate change. Climate change, all of us, we are talking about climate change, but the ordinary people, they don't know the exact extent of climate change, what they can do. So I think universities should work on something called public awareness program for climate change, so that people, they know how to act and react according to what's happening. These are the main points I wanted to talk about, really. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Enahir. Thank you. And our last invited discussion before I give the floor to our audience here is Professor Trafalis. Todore, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, that's important.
Okay, great. I'm really happy to participate in this panel. This is an excellent, all the talks were very, very interesting. So I would like somehow to give my own perspective. I think one of the key things is the interdisciplinary education, which was really addressed from some people. And I had the chance, because I'm also adjunct professor in meteorology, I had the chance to work with a lot of people in several areas. And starting in the, I think 2000 or so, I had the project with NSF in real-time data mining. So I had in my group, I was the PI in this project, I had in my group several people from physics, electrical engineering, even from social sciences. So I think what we need nowadays, we are in a new age. So we need to transform the engineering education. As Dr. Sabuchankis said, we are in the fourth industrial revolution. So we need to educate students to these new things like artificial intelligence, which somehow some people feel that this is the fire, like the Byzantine use, for example, the liquid fire to attack enemies. So they feel that AI will be used in this sense in the future. But I think we need also to educate faculty first to the new technologies. Unfortunately, we are a little bit behind on that. We are always talking about educating students, but also I think the faculty must be educated in these new technologies so they can really accomplish their work in this new revolution. We are nowadays in the fourth industrial revolution. I think also we need, what I say, we need polymaths. So the education must be, nowadays in engineering, we would like to create polymath, people that understand a lot of things, social science, engineering, physics, mathematics, and so on. For example, some people talk about quantum computing. So it seems nowadays that quantum physics are also in the new development. So we need polymaths. We don't need Leonardo da Vinci, but at least we need some polymaths that can really contribute. Also, I would like to make some comments. The first speaker talked about the value of education, something which is very critical. Unfortunately, a lot of politicians don't realize the value of education, which is not good. I think we need to train also politicians to value the education. And also, this is strongly related with the financial support, of course, in education. So the other issue was sustainability. Sustainability is very, very critical, I think, in engineering education. And I believe the new technologies in artificial intelligence, like ChatGPT, might be used effectively, but we must be very, very careful. So I think I can stop here. I don't know if I use my time. I can talk forever, by the way, but I don't want to do that.
3 minutes, that's sufficient.
Okay, very nice. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now we turn the floor. Is anybody from here that wants to feel this internal urgency to contribute to this discussion? Raise hands. Or I shouldn't use force. No, you spoke. You want to speak again? You know, no. We need someone from the other people that they didn't speak. Anybody wants to talk? Not asking questions, but just making an. We have someone, lady. Sorry. We have someone there. It's a provocateur. I asked him to intervene.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Just identify yourself so you are.
Yeah, my name is Andres Semante. I work at the College of Engineering and Florida International University, and just wanted to maybe add a couple of items regarding our discussion of engineering education. Some of the presenters already talk about sustainability. I think that's a key issue, and maybe the two examples that I would like to share is that in the engineering research centers, there is a program funded by National Science Foundation, NSF. One of the key things that they ask as a plan is the sustainability plan. In other words, they ask, what's next? What are you guys going to do after we research your program? What is the plan to make this happen beyond the research funds that NSF is providing? So sustainability, yes, it's a very important issue in engineering education. And the second piece that I wanted to share with you is in Florida International University, more specifically at the College of Engineering and Computing, we started an effort before the pandemic with the SUCCEED. SUCCEED is the School of Universal Construction and Engineering Education. We, beyond engineering and computing, we have the construction management. We put all this together, and SUCCEED means how we can improve engineering education, how we can make the access and success of our students better in time. In other words, it's about sustainability. So I just wanted to add these two quick comments to the brainstorming. Thank you very much.
Very much. Anybody else wants to contribute? Okay. Then you want to make, you use the microphone because.
I just want to say that because I don't want to leave the impression that I only emphasize problems. My last slide, but because of the 10 minutes rule, I couldn't go over it. But I actually would like people, because some of the participants, particularly, well, people who spoke after me and the gentleman in the audience through technology, mention things that are in that slide that I think are important for us to have a discussion, because these are, I see them as potential solutions to the challenges that I mentioned. And I see that the challenges are not only in United States, but all over. So I think the audience might be interested in listening to that. So if you mind, it's the last slide of my presentation, and I would like to hear.
Yeah, in other words, you are an optimist and not a pessimist.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay,
That's what I
summarize.
want to say.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's clear. And yeah.
All right, so my presentation was very strict to the computer science thing, but one thing, I don't know if people understood, a lot of the stuff that used to be done by computer science, which is the low-level computing kind of thing I was talking, low-level languages, machine languages, a lot of this was basically taken care lately by computer engineering. And talking about sustainability, that's probably an area where people have to understand that becomes more and more important, because we talk about this fourth revolution, that's where computer engineering is. So we have to be very careful exactly where we guide our students, what they're going to do. I can tell you, with our majors, did I talk about enrollments, about problems? No. Why? Why did I talk only 3-4 minutes? Because there is nothing to talk about. People are coming in flocks in the area because they know it's going to be successful and they're going to get jobs.
Yeah, I think so.
So again, I understand that other disciplines may have their own problems, but I think they should also guide them based on the reality of the macroeconomics and the markets and everything that's going on. And
okay, we have this argument because we organized many roundtable discussions, I don't know the number of this one, about STEM and STEAM. Actually, we had a question, a comment. You cannot go far if you don't include arts into the STEM. I mean, this is an argument that, and of course, there are some disciplines like physics is down, computer is up, but computer starts from physics, if I'm not mistaken. You know. Anyway, we have a question from, the good thing is that, so as an economist, I can say at a certain point in time, the need for food for the stomach is higher than the need for the food of thought.
Is Professor Nathakumar who would like?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, Amada.
Costas, I'm here.
Okay, you can take
Okay, you can ask your question now.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. It's an interesting panel discussion, but the challenge we have to face is addressing these issues in such a way that our students can graduate in 4 years when they go through the undergraduate program. We are sacrificing the age-old mathematics, okay, for teaching actually the applications, whether it's be computer science or engineering or any other subjects related to mathematics. My worry is that students are not learning actually the necessary mathematics. They are getting degrees in other disciplines without knowing much about the mathematical implications. That's my main concern.
Yeah, I think Professor Trafalius will share that. Professor Ionescu will share that because they have all of them. They have a mathematics background. I don't know, but I think most of the people that they think that the pure science is only mathematics will share for that. Of course, you are a mathematician as well. Any other, Bala, you want to say something? Yes.
But it's okay, go ahead.
No, I don't have any. I want to say if there are any other questions.
Yeah,
now we're going to have a Sri Lanka debate here.
My opinion about math. Math is a very important subject. The things are changing. That's what I mentioned earlier. When we were learning, people use log table, slide rules and things like that. We sit and think and how to use those things. We focus on math a lot. Now kids can use calculator to put the numbers together. They even can get sine, cosine without knowing the meaning of sine, cosine. And I was one of the group of the ASW. We were thinking about, do we really need math? Yes, math is very important. Can we come up with a way to educate math? Do we need to teach everything? Can we break them in a modular form? Because some students take differential equation, they go to environmental engineering. Sometimes they never touch that equation, right? This type of thing, can we break them in a modular form, like, 2-unit courses, things like that? Do we need to take all the math? That is one issue because we have no choice. At this point, ChatGPT is coming. It can give you all kind of answers, even the program. We need to coexist. We need to come up with a way how to, adapt this one and coexist. We can't go back and say that we learned this way, math. So we need to come up with some new approach. That's one thing we are trying to come up with.
Yeah, it's a difficult subject. I mean, math.
Exactly.
So if we can avoid it, that's a good thing. No, I'm sarcastic now. Vivian.
Well, I don't want to say I disagree, but I think that I agree that we need to think how to do it. But I think math is extremely important because engineers of now, but also engineers of the future, we have to come up with new problems solve skills that if they don't have, they understand. You were saying ChatGPT is going to solve problems for us, and it's true, but people need to understand the fundamentals so they can create new ChatGPTs in the future. So I still think our students need to have the basic fundamental knowledge, and I think engineers need that. So that's my comment. But I wanted to come back to something that was mentioned but not discussed much, and I think it's worth to consider in this avenue, is how do we educate, two things, how do we educate people who are in the sciences, STEM, to deal with the social problems of the present and the future? Because I don't think we can think of people like Albert Einstein and scientists who are isolated and solve problems by themselves. Science is very collaborative, but also it has a societal implication. So we have been mentioning problems like water management, climate change. We need people who are conscious about that and how that affects the society where they live, but also in other places. So we are not paying in the United States. We have been going through a time of emphasis on STEM, but I think we need to go beyond STEM. STEAM is one, but it's even beyond that. Social sciences.
We have a comment like that, but I'm not going to read all the comments because we received a lot. It says exactly that.
We need that.
You need, someone said you need the aesthetics, you need the ethics. I'm reading the comment out because I read it before, and you need philosophy. But even though I like this idea, math is very important. I mean,
Yeah, it's in contradiction with math. Yeah.
it's very important.
And the second thing I want to say is that we also need to think, and I don't have a clear answer. I just know that we need to think about a solution to this, to create graduates will have more interdisciplinary preparation so they can talk to each other, because the problems of the 21st century are interdisciplinary problems. So everything that has been mentioned, climate change, water, quantum computing started physics, but it's not just physics, it's computation, it's physics, it's chemistry, because you need the materials, it's a lot of different computational people, it's a lot of things. And that's just one example. It's almost no example you can find now where you don't need interdisciplinarity. And we still are attached to the traditional degree. So how do we go into the depth of the knowledge we need and at the same time interdisciplinary? That's a big question that I don't have to answer. I think
Okay. If I am tired, everybody else is tired. That's a Kantian. So I know that we started early. I said that in my opening remarks that we try to bring disciplines together, and that's what we are doing here, small groups, having people. We have from chemical engineering here, we have from mechanical, we have from electrical, we had from physics, of course, that I think it's a basic, apart from mathematics. I think all the scientists say that physics is the basic. If you take math, that is almost like an art. Anyway, and logical. Now we're gonna go for, do you have food? Or we forgot to order? Okay, don't forget it. Sorry. Because you didn't raise your hand, that's a, microphone.
A question, I have to pose a question. We heard all presentations, and in all presentations, we heard about new subjects, new lectures, sustainability, Internet of Things, and all these. Just one question. All these new lectures will increase the time of study of the students? Of course not. We already have here in Greece 5-year studies. We have 54 lectures at the School of Civil Engineering. Will we increase the number of lectures, the duration of the study? Of course not. Then we have to find a solution. And I think that the solution is only one: professional rights. And also the diplomas that we give must be specialized. What do I mean? Not civil engineering diploma, but structural civil engineer, geotechnical civil engineer, hydraulic civil engineer. I think that only this solution is to this increase of knowledge, to new subjects, and so on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's a comment rather than a question. So, but Bala wants to take it over.
Just, yeah, it's a very good point he made. Actually, that's what I was telling. You have to come up with a modular format. Rather taking bulk courses, you have to take whatever necessary to get a degree in particular, specialized field. Even you can do that for math. That's the point, right? So rather, you whatever necessary thing you take, rather taking 8-hour classes, eight unit courses, just modular form means make it smaller.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
I think we have to also look at how we give the PhDs or something in various disciplines. Look at how they have expanded so much. So he's right, we have to go much more modular because nobody is going to know everything anymore. It's not like, I don't know, Euler, I guess, was the last one who knew everything about math, to quote the mathematicians, right? So I think we need to, yes, the modular idea or actually narrowing the fields is going to be absolutely necessary.
Okay. Anybody else? I think we're gonna have lunch and we can continue the discussion. What do you think? We have someone from that wants to read. We can send the comments. Let's punch them that being online. Make it a decent sending. Okay. Thank you very much. We're gonna continue. We have a STEM session after lunch, and it's on site. So if you're not tired, you can follow that session. And of course, we have a session tomorrow on a very important issue in engineering and STEM, whatever you want to call it, on educational justice, which we didn't touch it, but there is a problem who has access to, because for non-sciences and non-engineers, like me, for example, economics, we admire, especially the physics, because we use their methodology. And we see that it's a difficult subject, both math, physics, engineering. So, and that makes difficult the accessibility. So tomorrow we'll talk about we have an American university that organized this session on education justice, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you very much for being here this morning, and we'll continue.